Indigenous Knowledge Systems, IKS, refer to an integrated knowledge systems acquired over generations by communities as they interact with the environment. It encompasses, amongst others, technology, social, economic, philosophical, learning and government systems. The IKS is both a national and resource heritage that should be protected by all and developed so that it can be put at the service of the present and future generations to respond to current economical, social, environmental and cultural challenges. To achieve this is a major task that has befallen all of us, including those who are here. We need to have scholars, we need to have IKS practitioners, traditional leaders to agree that there is really a need for the development and incorporation of the IKS into the research and curriculum agendas of institutions of higher learning and research. To our special guests, all the way from West Africa, from the great nation of Nigeria, welcome to the beautiful port city of Durban, situated at Tequini Metro in KwaZulu-Natal, in honor of this historic event to mark one of the historical milestones in our academic fraternal relations between the two great nations of Africa. We applaud your presence. Can we again give them a round of applause?
This groundbreaking partnership between the University of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa and the National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development in Nigeria, two prestigious African institutes or institutions from two of the largest economies on the continent, highlights the importance of shared values and sustainable projects in the knowledge environment.
The task we're all doing here today might actually be one of the most important tasks for the future of Africa. This particular agreement, even though it may seem on the surface to be between Nigeria and South Africa, is actually an agreement for the whole of Africa, all 54 African countries. Because as you well know, if Nigeria and South Africa are on the same page on one issue, the other 52 African countries will align.
The collaboration will harness the greatness Africa has to offer in research and development with the embodiment of the continent's rich and diverse indigenous cultures. The signing of this MoU happens at a time when global challenges such as COVID-19 have shown us that Western knowledge systems do not have all the solutions to mitigate the problems we encounter in a world characterized by cultural and ecological diversity.
Well before COVID, a lot of the stakeholders told us we were pushing the wrong concept, that it is more economically viable to manufacture in Europe and in Asia and use sophisticated logistics formulas to bring those products to Africa. For a long time, we were on the back foot, but it didn't stop us from being strong proponents of medicine security. COVID has now shown everybody that we were right and they were wrong. As a people, we must not abdicate the responsibility for providing healthcare for our people to people outside this continent.
Solutions for African healthcare challenges should be based on the willingness and commitment of African people and communities to promote, preserve, and protect the local knowledge systems.
Embedded in the medicine security concept were socio-economic indicators that align with local manufacturing and local development of these resources. Things like job creation, things like capacity building, things like knowledge transfer and revenue generation, not only for the practitioners, but also for government. These were all embedded in the concept of medicine security.
The envisaged partnership between our two institutions in research and development, including human capital development and community engagement in the context of the traditional medicine value chain, provides a variety of key socio-economic opportunities, including business and investment opportunities for our two countries, hence providing job and income generation opportunities for stakeholders involved in the African traditional medicine pharmaceutical value chain, especially traditional health practitioners, women, youth, and other marginalized socio-economic groups in the two countries.
As Africans, we must not abdicate the responsibility for developing socio-economic programs that will ensure that our youth, our women have jobs, are adequately employed. They no longer seek pastures, whether through legal or illegal immigration elsewhere. Those jobs must remain here in Africa. As a people, we must no longer abdicate the responsibility of designing programs that will ensure that the plants which we find in our background, for which traditional medicine practitioners have gained knowledge, handed over from generations and generations before them, that the knowledge is preserved and designed in a format that it is translated into processes and products that will result into validated healthcare solutions as well as money in the pockets of those practitioners.
The signing of this MoU is an expression of the importance of building on the indigenous knowledge systems in strengthening relationships in health innovation, research, development, and community engagement based on African intellectual and natural resource heritage.
The intention of the founding fathers of NIPRD was to put together a science-based organization which will expedite the utilization of the resources we have in Africa, using the human capacity that we have to develop world-class processes and products that are aimed to improving access to healthcare for our people, whilst also achieving key socio-economic indicators.
Indigenous knowledge systems, especially the philosophical basis thereof, provides us an opportunity to go against the fragmentation of knowledge that was the hallmark of the 21st century. Because human problems do not present themselves in neat parcels. We have divided knowledge in that manner so as to ensure that from the point of view of our sense experience or sense perception, we can manage it. But human problems do not present themselves in that manner. Hence, we have an opportunity here not only to develop interdisciplinary knowledge, but also transdisciplinary knowledge that traverses and goes beyond boundaries, so that from the African continent, we can create something new based on our own philosophical understandings of what it means to be a human being, but also of what it means to know in the context of other knowers.
As of today, we have trained over 1,000 traditional medicine practitioners in Africa. we developed what we call the contextual processing protocol, which enabled us to take the training to the localities where those practitioners reside. And when we get there, we not only undertake the technical training for the practitioners, we also undertake training in other ancillary areas, such as how to attract finance for your project, how to undertake the sometimes cumbersome process of registering your products so that your product now becomes mainstream and is available in a validated format. Whilst taking these trainings to the hinterlands for these practitioners, we also embedded a stakeholder engagement aspect whereby the key politicians, the key policymakers, the key investors, other stakeholders that can be identified in that value chain are invited, and we have them participate in that training. And it is on record that in some of those workshops, when these practitioners have exhibited their often rudimentary products, one or two of those stakeholders have adopted those products and promised to fund it to the stage where it becomes a registered product. That is the design that we've used in our training of over 1,000 traditional medicine practitioners. This agreement signifies the emergence of new African scientists and academics. African scientists and academics who are sufficiently intrepid and who recognize the artificial barriers that have kept us where we have been for decades and centuries, and have begun now to work stridently together to break down those barriers so that we can be in a position to expedite solution making for our people. The new African scientist and academic who is patriotic and who has significant Afrocentricity in abundance. That is what this particular signing ceremony is about to kick off.
I have the pleasure to call to the fore Dr. Kathleen Elena Leland, who's the registrar at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, to take the seat. Dr. Obi Ajikwe, the Chief Executive Officer and the Director of the NIPRD Nigeria. To witness this important historic event, I would call to the fore Professor Nhlanhla Mkhize. He'll be joined by Prof. Abubakar Damtaro. Ceremony for the witnesses, Professor Abubakar, Professor Mkhize, to the fore. This will solidify the very start of the important initiative, and when the history is written, you'll be there at the forefront as pioneers of this very much important initiative. And again, we really thank you for this proposal.
Anything that we can do to take this memorandum further, that the provincial government and the city would back you 100%. And I cherish the day where I see the commercialization of our traditional medicine in a responsible way that creates jobs and that really empowers our people that they go through in container loads through this port to Europe, to the United States, to ever, and we heal the world through this collaboration.
Traditional health practitioners play a vital role in the care of the majority of the South African. More than 80% of those access these services. Research can play an important role in addressing concerns over interactions between pharmaceutical medicines and traditional medicines. This is an opportunity of collaboration that we need to take forward for the betterment of our population.
It is high time that African academic and research institutions recognize the relevance of working together with the traditional leadership and African indigenous knowledge holders and practitioners across African countries to ensure that African traditional medicine resources, value chain and associated indigenous knowledge systems are developed and promoted for the benefit of the African people themselves.
The opportunity exists with the Africa Free Trade Agreement to grow the healthcare sector, to grow the diversification of trade and a reduction of reliance on trade outside of Africa.
I want to assure the University of KwaZulu-Natal and by extension the Center in Indigenous Knowledge Systems that the Nigerian federal government would continue to support NIPRD towards the full implementation of this MoU. I implore both institutions to, as a matter of urgency, set up joint technical working team that will oversee the effective execution of all the good objectives and goals of this MoU.
The most important thing is how do we improve the quality of life for our people. We have so many resources in our continent here, which are not known outside, and the knowledge systems that are associated. How do we bring all these things together? How do we mobilize those skills and knowledge, artistic knowledge of our young people, mapping those knowledge systems, mapping those resources available in our grassroots communities, and see how can we work together through partnerships, together with the private sector, to ensure that the focus is improving the quality of life of our people. So we start today with our partners, with our traditional healers, traditional leadership, to see how do we come together between Nigeria and South Africa to make these things become a reality. Thank you.
When this was all being put together, I felt we were just going to come, sit down in a posh office, sign a few papers, and then go away to start planning. I didn't expect the level of detail and the level of engagement with different stakeholders that have been put in the trip. As you're aware, my team went to the market to engage with traditional medicine practitioners, where there was a robust exchange in ideas as regards the value in knowledge that those traditional healers can bring to the healthcare system. Also, the improvements that can be put in place in a very short period to ensure that these interventions are validated in a scientific manner. That was very key. The engagement we've had here again today with the medical community, and you heard about the lecture and the presentation in genomics. These are areas where we have a very strong interest. You heard me mention NIPRD's interventions in active pharmaceutical ingredients, APIs, our interventions in artificial intelligence and machine learning, and our interventions in nanotechnology. These are also interventions that can dovetail into the genomics work that is doing here. What this means is that we will definitely hit the ground running, because automatically areas of key partnership, key interest that can begin to bring tangible value to Africans are already making themselves very clear from the visit. And this is barely 12 hours after the signing of the MoU. So I couldn't be more excited, in signing this MoU and beginning this partnership.
I must say it has been a very successful occasion. And from now on, what we do is to implement the actions which we want to ensure that the MoU is not just a talk, but brings quality of life to our people.